There's just something so ominous and cold about seeing Yuji silently chasing after Mahito in the snowy forest. It is that moment that we've all been waiting for. That moment where Yuji admits who he really is, that he is Mahito, where he breaks and he snaps at long last. And his breaking point, or him snapping, is not exactly what many probably expected before watching this episode. And I think it is just beautifully done in terms of writing and the way the art animation of this episode with the voice acting and the music or the background audio presented the scene, because it gave a lot of context to just how Yuji has obviously changed from this fight, but also getting to see some insight into who Mahito is as a person as well. So let's get into this little line here. I am you. It is a very important line, and it basically represents everything that Mahito has done to Yuji since his introduction. Mahito as an entity has tormented Yuji for a long time now. Everything that Yuji has hoped to build up or love has just been taken away from him. If it's not by Sukuna, it's by Mahito. And every time he has any form of joy, Mahito takes it away with a smile on his face, laughs, mocks Yuji. It's outright horrific what Yuji has went through. To the death of Nobara and Nanami as of late, he's just tired. He's done. And seeing this scene where Mahito has become the hunted, once the hunter is now the hunted, is a jarring scene. It's so beautifully done because it showcases Mahito's final moments of just, you know, how humans probably feel while he runs after them, hunting them down. It's vicious, savage, but also very cold. In a way, the way Yuji acts in this moment is very cold in comparison to even how Mahito acts. Like, when Mahito gets rid of humans, he doesn't get rid of them with just complete calmness like this. He gets rid of them just by, like, laughing or mocking, etc. But I guess we could kind of apply this to Yuji. The reason why he mocks or laughs is because he's making fun of Yuji. But basically, the whole message of I am you is what Mahito said in the last episode. When Yuji was pretty much contemplating death itself, like he just didn't want to live anymore after the death of Nobara, before Todo appeared and saved him, Mahito said something to Yuji that really had Yuji think about it, and he gave his answer in this episode. That Mahito presented saying that, how many cursed spirits have you killed? Do you know how many of you killed? Have you thought about it? Like, do you really know? And Mahito's like, I'm the same way. I am a cursed spirit that kills humans. I don't count all the humans I kill. I don't even remember their names, etc. And then he even implied that he would forget Yuji eventually. He would completely forget about his name and just go on with his life as a cursed spirit. And Yuji basically says he's going to be the exact same way. Is that, yes, he's going to kill cursed spirits, and as time passes, he's just going to forget about their names, the damage they done, and just move on. Because his purpose is to kill cursed spirits, while Mahito's purpose was to torment and kill humans. It's a very interesting scene, because what we see here is Yuji breaking down fundamentally to where, like, Mahito finally tore apart Yuji's ideology, made him face reality of who he actually is, his purpose in life, and what he needs to do by tearing him down to the very foundations. It's a very dark aspect, and the way it's presented is a very cold and silent rage. And I think that that is something that's going to catch everybody by surprise, is that for weeks now, while we've been watching JJK, there's been a lot of people that have been asking, and I've seen it in the comment section of my YouTube videos, are people like, when is Yuji going to snap? Like, this man has witnessed so many people just die in front of him. You would expect the man just to break, like, just straight up break and just want to end Mahito instantly, like, just go full-on rage mode, because you see it continuously in other literature, other writing, and all that. But Yuji obviously is not that typical character, and he's tried to react, but every time he does, he just takes an L. That's exactly what happens. And, you know, he always gets back up again thanks to some encouragement and all that. But what this shows is that Yuji doesn't react in a very vicious way. He reacts in a very silent, distant, or just cold manner to Mahito, and I think that is the most disrespectful thing that he could actually do to him, because Mahito knows what he said to Yuji, and how, you know, he'd forget about him, or not really care about killing a human, And so Yuji would probably feel the exact same about a cursed spirit. And so Mahito is absolutely terrified here, because Yuji is not showing any emotion. He doesn't show anger, he doesn't show rage, he doesn't show happiness, he doesn't even show sadness, nothing. He shows indifference. Someone that just doesn't care anymore. He's done with it. Like, this whole sequence of events is just Yuji just being done with Mahito. He's done with cursed spirits. He's done with taking L's. He's just completely done with it. And so when he looks back at Mahito and he tries to strike him, it's a very nice contrast between Mahito's facial expression here to also Yuji, because Yuji obviously has, like, no emotion here. Like, you can see it. There is no happiness, no anger, anything. This man is like, it's it. This is the end, Mahito. I'm getting rid of you. And so he becomes the hunter to hunt Mahito. It's a great scene. It's legitimately a powerful scene that depicts just, like, the damage Mahito has done to our MC, and that even if Mahito does in fact die here, the ramifications of what he's done to Yuji and all the cast members is going to still be felt ongoing until the series' end. And the reason for that is because Yuji's not going to come back from this. Like, he might try to present to be a little bit happier, more mellow or whatever, but his fundamental, like, foundation of his world, his very ideals, has just been crushed entirely. And now he's just basically saying, I'm just going to kill cursed spirits, not care nothing about it and all that, just end them instantly. It's very interesting, his perspective now on life. He has grown, obviously, from this, but also he's lost quite a bit in terms of just, like, everyone, his loved ones, etc. I think it's powerful, because Mahito will always have that permanent effect on Yuji's soul. Like, no matter what happens going forward, Mahito will technically be the result of why Yuji acts the way he does. So that's interesting. Even if Yuji forgets, Yuji's soul never will. And I think that also is a perfect representation of what Mahito is as well, as a cursed spirit, since he affects souls and stuff. So, yeah, it's food for thought. But let's get into a little bit deeper of this scene. I think that anyone that watched this scene probably was just, like, they probably looked at Mahito as like, man, this man he's pathetic. Like, he looks absolutely pathetic. This man is running through a snowy forest. He's, like, barely able to even speak. Like, he can't actually even speak. And he just, he throws, like, dirt at Yuji, trying to get Yuji away. Not even using curse energy or anything. He's just literally spent. It's a very pathetic moment for Mahito. A character that we've seen since his very origin point that has just been nothing but energy and just efficiency, and someone that is just mocking anyone that he gets rid of. He always has this just something to say. He always needs to say something. And the fact that he doesn't really say anything, and he can't because he's so terrified, it's a very pathetic depiction. And I think anyone watching this won't necessarily feel bad for Mahito. I think more or less they'll have a little bit of pity, like, you kind of brought this upon yourself. Everything that is currently happening to you is the consequences of your own actions. And Yuji doing this is exactly what Mahito kind of wanted. Mahito pushed Yuji into this corner to eventually become the hunter, and so Mahito is facing the consequences of his own actions within the story. And so it is quite a fitting end for his character, honestly. Getting to experience the very thing that countless people before Mahito has had to experience thanks to his own hands. Because you gotta think about this. He has killed countless humans within the story that we have seen and not seen, off-screen, etc., probably the exact same way, not even caring, just coldly walking after them, getting rid of them or whatever. And so when you see this scene, it makes you wonder, does Mahito realize? Does he realize what he's currently going through when he experiences this fear? He's feeling all these emotions within him. Does he know he's very close to humanity? That he is basically a human in this point, running for his life, not wanting to die. He doesn't want his life to be over. It's a very fascinating scene, and it just makes you wonder, is he capable of thinking that? If he's capable of feeling these emotions of fear and desperation and wanting to survive, will he also realize just this is what humans feel when, they're about to die at his hands? The question is, does he? Probably not, because that's the very mentality of what this whole fight was about, is that, Mahito ripped away Yuji's, very ideals, and I guess in this way, Yuji is ripping away Mahito's perspective of the world as well, so maybe he is bestowing a little bit of humanity in him to realize what he's actually been doing. Regardless, it's too little too late, because even if Mahito was to probably sit there and beg, etc., like, hypothetically, I don't think that Yuji would listen, because that was the whole point of this segment, is that Yuji's just done. He's completely done, and he's just getting rid of Mahito once and for all. So yeah, fantastic scene. I do want to shift into gears and other sequences, like this whole scene with, Yuji fighting an evolved form of Mahito. Even though clearly Mahito's basically done at this point, this really kind of showcased something that was really jaw-dropping or scary about Mahito, is the fact that his evolution was just at the beginning. He was finally evolving into like a final form, so to speak. And if he would have continued to evolve or stay around a lot longer, he would legitimately be an absolutely terrifying opponent, a curse spirit. Like, honestly, like, he's accomplished already so much and is easily one of the most dangerous curse spirits you could ever imagine. And this man's only lived for like a few months to half a year at this point. Imagine if he would live for a full year, or a decade, or hundreds of years, so to speak, how strong Mahito actually would become. So this was kind of a glimpse at that. Obviously, we're probably never going to get that absolute power of what his character is capable of, but it does let you know that this is what he could have been, or how stronger he could have gotten. It's a scary thought, all in all, because he was even able to mess with a domain expansion before even Sukuna could react, which does say a lot as well, that he is really growing at such a crazy rate. So being put down like he is obviously for the best. Now, besides that, we need to talk about Todo. Todo had quite a moment this episode. I love this man, and I think anyone that, has been watching JJK probably can agree with me that, he steals the show when he's on screen. And this man, at the end of Season 1 to now him in Season 2, he came in for the save to save Yuji. He brought Yuji up when he was on the ground just ready to die. He saved him, and then he comes in clutch to be able to take down Mahito by sacrificing basically his entire curse ability of being able to clap his hands and transport objects between different things. He lost that ability. He lost his arm thanks to Mahito's domain expansion, to also losing his other hand by briefly touching Mahito just to tap Yuji in to be able to punch him away. So when you factor all of these things, Todo, he gave everything. He gave his ability. He even potentially gave up his life, because this moment here where Yuji just, runs away, he looks back, he takes Todo's advice and all that, what Todo said in the last episode, not just what Mahito said to him, but he also took Todo's advice, is that he can't just dishonor their final words and all that. He needs to carry on, carry their will and all that, and get rid of curses and stuff. I like this because it's basically showcasing Yuji is like, Todo might be dead here. He's probably dead. But even if he is or isn't, the point is I got to keep going forward to respect his courage and what he did. So it shows that Yuji's not going to be in the exact same state as he was in the previous episode. But it's a very powerful scene too, because Todo gave up pretty much everything, besides his life, at least so far we know of. And it's just like, dang. Like, it's crazy. We're never going to get to see my brother and then, switch out with him. It's pretty depressing, honestly. But it required all of that to be able to take down Mahito to get him, obviously, to this point of Yuji bringing him down. Overall, though, legitimately fantastic episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, it was quite an episode, to the domain expansion, to Sukuna's brief appearance, to just, like, the narrator, to Todo, to Yuji's brief fight with, like, an evolved form, Mahito. Just, yeah, it is fantastic. And then you see, Geto come at the end to potentially save Mahito, and it's just like, really? Really? But, I'll leave it at that. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below if you enjoyed this episode of JJK. Be safe, stay healthy, everyone. I love you all. Chibi out.